It's Marie from Skeletorama again. Welcome back to my channel. So we are going to work on some furniture, I think, today. I've got a few kits. I'm not going to do them all in one shot because that would be insane, even though it's totally something that I would do. But I have 3 different chunks of stuff that I want to make. And you're thinking, you haven't even put the wallpaper up while you want to make this stuff yet. Well, A, I want to figure out where it's going to go in the room, and B, I want to make sure that it fits in the room with whatever wallpaper. That's my rationalization for doing this. And it's not that I just don't feel like putting wallpaper on the house right now, although that could be it. So anyways, the 3 things that we're going to do at some point, keeping in mind that I have ADD, so I could switch up to anything at any time. But this is really cool. These are all kits from Alpha Stamps. So I'll leave a link below to their stuff. They have some really cool things. I think they'll be going on a hiatus while they move at some point right now. So maybe we'll move quickly, or maybe a little too late, but you just have to wait a little bit. But they will be back for sure. Otherwise I'd be very upset. So this is a millinery cabinet. So what it looks like, and it comes with instructions. I'm so happy because one of the last kits I did from them didn't, and it made it very confusing, but it will look like this when it's done. So with this one, I may do this one last only because we'll need to put stuff in here, which I think will necessitate me making a new kit. I was thinking about it earlier and what kind of fun stuff I could put in there. So that may be later, we'll see. So anyways, that's one of them. The second one was a project that Laura Carson did, and it was for a book nook that she did. So these are kind of on this inner side so that they could fit nicely in the book nook. But this is a fireplace surround type thing where you would put the little glowing embers and junk in. This is a fireplace, and then there are some book things that go on either side, and then there's an overmantel, which I guess is that thing that sits over the mantel. Huh. Who knew? That's what it's called. Anyways, so it's a whole kind of big chunk of wall piece. So I do want to put this together because I want to see how it fits in the house, because I screwed up and I didn't put fireplaces in the Mad Scientist mansion. So I kind of like to put one here. If it doesn't look quite right in the Scooby house, they do have several other fireplace kits that you can choose from. And they have a lot of these kits that were made to go over and measured specifically to these, kind of like that secretary desk I did was. And so, I mean, you have lots of choices, but if not, this may make a nice addition to the addition in the Mad Scientist mansion, where we're going to have the servants' quarters upstairs. So this could maybe be her fireplace and stuff in her room. I don't know, we'll see. But I also have the kit. I got the digital version of the kit so I could print it out in case I screwed it up. And this is Laura Carson, also known as Artfully Musing. You can get this at alphastamps.com. But these are the pieces that go on those narrow bookcases on the sides. And she's got all sorts of different ones. They end up being a little 2D this way, but still they look really cute if you pop them out with foam tape or something. So I printed 2 of them because I have 2 of the bookcases. This one I screwed up when I printed. As you can see, it's kind of missing a little bit at the top. And then this is the piece that goes for the overmantel and for the fireplace itself and the sides and the grate and all kinds of fun stuff. So that's what we'll be doing with this chunk. But I think the first chunk we're going to do is the smaller packages here. So, of course, if I'm building a house, it's going to have a study in it because I'm a massive book nerd. So this right here is a Gothic ornate chair. And I thought this would be really cool sitting at this table here. Let me cut this one open because it's all taped to hell and back here. This is like a big desk, right? But it's not just any big desk. She says, pausing for drama and really just not being able to get the damn desk out of here. Come on. All right, you know what? There we go. I will liberate you. Okay, here we go. It has griffins on the side. So they hold up the desk like so. So they're on the ends of the desk. And I just think these are the cutest things ever. Although they probably go on this one. I don't know. This one I don't see instructions for. So, But I mean, seriously, how hard is this going to be, right? Could be very hard, who knows? So, and then you have the little wings to make them a little more 3D. And I was also thinking with this that I'm not terribly good, as we know, at doing the desktops, right? And making things look like wood. Even though I've got my brown acrylic paint over here, I have my doubts I'd be able to make this look like wood, but I do have something I can use that will make it look exactly like wood. I like to call it wood. So what I'm thinking of doing, this is a nice, oops, you do have to watch for the laser smudge stuff. But we'll clean those off when we go to make it. But what I was thinking of doing is taking this and cutting a layer out, because it's very thin. This is like maybe 1/8 of an inch thin. Staining this and putting some gloss or polyurethane or something on this and attaching it to the top. And then that way I can do like the underside of the desk and these in more of like a metal finish. So it'll be wood with metal or something. I don't know. We'll see as we go. All right. Or I could just, no, I'm not going to try. I was going to say, or I could just cut everything out of wood and use these as a template. Yeah, absolutely not. Definitely not. Yeah. Nope, not happening. But we can do something different with the chair. All right. So anyways, I think that's what we're going to do is we're going to put together our cool Gryphon table and our Gothic chair and make like a little desk scene type thing that we can put in the study. So I'm going to get some stuff together and I will see you guys back in a second. So I have here a baby wipe. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to clean all these pieces up, and then with the chair we're going to free it from its little mat board or whatever, prison, and then we'll clean those up too. But what you want to do is you want to run a baby wipe. Make sure it's not too wet because you don't want it to start absorbing moisture or anything. But see that? So that's a process of this being laser cut. It kind of burns it. So you'll get this sort of soot on it. And if you're not careful and you don't pay attention that it's there, what you'll notice is you'll be putting it together. Your hands are getting filthy and you're getting any of your finishes filthy as well. So it always pays to go ahead and clean these off. It's not a ton of it, but I mean, sometimes they can have a lot. I've seen them have quite a bit where just taking them out got your hands filthy, right? And then you put a big smudge on your piece of wood like I just did. So I do that. And put on fast forward. I'll finish cleaning all these edges and we'll cut those free and we'll clean those off too. So as you can see, those pieces have quite a bit of soot on them most of the time. It's due to a lot of the materials being very thick. So the thinner they are, the less soot tends to build up on this. Hardly had any of these, had a ton. That millinery cabinet is going to be a hot mess, but that's fine. That's just part of the process of them cutting it out. So I'm going to go wash my hands real quick because I can't deal with this, and I'll be right back. So now with these pieces here where we had to cut them free of their little prisons, I always like to take a little bit of sandpaper because no matter how careful you are, you're still going to have a little bit of that piece sticking up that you had cut off, like the little tab thing. So I like to make sure it's nice and flat because I don't want anybody to be able to see that in the finished product, right? So that looks pretty good. This one's still a little, sticking out a little bitty bit. Okay, so I'm going to do that to all of these real quick. All right, so our first step is going to be, since I know I want to do a desktop of wood for this, I'm going to go ahead and get my piece of wood out. I'm going to find a nice spot. I like to try to avoid the knots just because if you hit one when you're cutting it with your craft knife, it's a bit of a pain. So what I want is I want for this to be the same size as this. So I'm going to line it up against these two straight edges that were cut when they cut the piece of wood, which again we know will be much straighter than what I do. And I grab my pencil, and I'm going to just outline this as my pencil. Okay, so when I cut this, I'm going to want to cut just to the inside of my pencil line, right? Because I want this to be exactly the same as this, but I already know that this was in the way when I put my pencil line. There's no way to get your pencil line, you know, exactly under it, right? So we're going to cut just to the side of this. So we want to leave the pencil mark on the wood, but nothing else, if that makes sense. So this knife won't work because it's not keeping the blade in. I'm just going to see if this blade will fit in here. I don't think it does. I was hoping maybe I just wasn't seeing it right, but no, it doesn't fit. And I really need to replace this because this is a heavy duty blade. This is what you would use for cutting wooden things, but I mean, this is tightened down and it's coming right out. So we definitely cannot use that. So I guess we'll be using this. Now to give myself an advantage, I can always use a ruler. So I have a metal ruler here just to kind of save myself from myself, as it were. Let's set this stuff over to the side. Actually, no, I can use my utility knife. I think I'll use my utility knife because this is a heavier duty blade. Something. Okay. So I'm going to cut here, and I'm going to put my ruler just to the side of my pencil line. I'm going to stand up to do this. And I'm doing it this way with my ruler covering my main piece of material, because if my hand slips, which it very well could, I would rather it slip and mess up the rest of the wood than my tabletop. All right, so let's see. That nice and straight. It is. Okay, so your first pass, don't try to cut through the wood all in one shot. You're not gonna. So you just want to follow it nice and close to there. What it does, it puts a nice groove into the wood, and then your blade is going to just naturally want to follow it. So it's going to kind of keep it in there. I could probably do this without the ruler here, but again, I'm keeping the ruler here to protect me from me. Okay, so go ahead and do those real quick. Ideally, you want to cut across the grain first. I just want to get kind of a nice trough, I guess. I don't know, something in there. Okay, so now I'm going to go across the wood. On this bottom part, same thing. Just ever so lightly score it. Oh, see how I went astray? See if I can correct that. It's going to tend to want to follow that line. So I'm going to go just below that line and try to keep it this way. And I will be sanding this at the end, of course. So it went a little weird there, but that's fine. And it went weird before I moved my ruler, so it's all good. So now once you've done and you're through on this side, when you go to cut with the grain, it's much easier. So I'm just going to go nice and light and keeping it in that groove that I made there. Okay, and always wait for it to break itself free. If you go to free it and find that it's not coming free, use your knife for that, because otherwise what you're going to do is you're going to split your wood. You're going to split splinters off, all sorts of fun stuff. So there we go. Not too shabby. Okay, so Smart Money says this isn't even, right? Especially right there. I just want to make sure it's going to cover the top of this the way I want it to. Okay, and it does. Those bits are external to this. So what I'm going to do is get a new piece of sandpaper. This is an awful lot of sandpaper, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it down. The nice thing is when you cut it down, you kind of sharpen your scissors a little bit at the same time. That is one way you can sharpen scissors if they're getting dull. Okay. Put you here. And then we're going to take this. I'm going to do at least one pass on the side that I cut. Nice, I can't really tell it's this side. When you're dealing with things with corners, always go one direction. because if you go back and forth, you're going to round your corners off. Thank you, Julie Warren, patron saint of all things dollhouse furniture with wood, because she is brilliant. Everything I learned from her. All right, so this one I'm going to be real careful with, and I'm going to keep, like every couple times, I'm going to keep holding it up to here, because I want to make sure I'm getting closer to my goal, not farther away from it. And I do still need to go a little bit. I don't know if you can see it. See, it kind of goes out a little bit here. That's where my issue is. Well, I think like one more little pass. Up and turn around the back, and that looks good. Holy crap. Okay, yay. I love when I do stuff more or less right on the first try. It's usually not the case. So okay, so we have our wood top. I'm just going to sit this kind of up here and out of the way because we're going to stain it and stuff. But now we're going to want to put our furniture together. So I start with this table. So you have the Gryphon, you have a wing, another Gryphon, another wing. These are both base pieces. This is your top, and this is actually kind of like one of those desk blotters. So, I mean, we can, once I do that, put this on here, paint it like, usually when I see them, they're like green and stuff. I don't know. I'll keep this as optional though, because I don't know if I'm going to want it if I've got this pretty wood table. So we'll see. All right, but we need to put this pretty wood table together. And if you hear weird noises, there's frogs outside, and they're having a grand time because it rained like crazy yesterday. So, okay, so what we do is, and yes, I did go to the site, and I referenced the picture of it again so I could make sure I knew what the hell I was doing. So we have this piece here, and then this piece is going to sit on top of it, and you've got these holes here, so these holes should line up. Okay, so let's do that first. And I want to get something to hold this down. So usually I go for an acrylic block. Now, if you're a stamper, you will be horrified at these acrylic blocks, as you should be. But these are the ones that I use to hold stuff down. So when I'm gluing stuff and I do cards, these are my older stamp. I do have newer ones because there's no way in hell you're going to get a rubber stamp to stick to this one of the acrylic stamps. Okay, so let's put some glue. I am using, of course, my Scotch tacky glue, which I love. It's my favorite. I'm just going to put some on here. These needle bottles you can get on Amazon in packs of like 3 or 5 or whatever. They're just fine tip bottles. You can also find them in any craft store. They'll be wherever paper quilling is. So usually near the stamps. Oh, this thing. They do tend to clog a little bit if you don't use them a ton. But they're usually near like where the stamps, rubber stamps and things like that are. And look for quilling supplies. They'll be right there because these are brilliant to use for paper quilling. Do I know how to do paper quilling? I don't. I know what it is though, but just never had a desire to do it. I'm sure it's fun in its own way. Okay. So let's get a nice little bit of glue here. And this way I can get really good coverage. I can get into all these little bits and areas and things. But I'm not going to add a ton of glue that's going to then just go squishing out. Okay. So I'm going to line this up here. Pick it up so I can do it better. And this glue grabs pretty quick. So the key with this is you're going to have to be able to fit your little Gryphon dudes in there. So let's make sure. There we go. Yep, fit. So we're good. And as always, I've got a toothpick here. I'm just going to get any of the little extra bits up along the sides so that way they're not going to interfere when I go to paint. I'm not going to have all these weird lumpy things. Because at this scale, you really will notice them. It's worth taking that extra minute. Just kind of go around all the edges. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to sit this on top of here just to give it a little bit of weight. Okay, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do the wings on the Gryphons here as well. I don't want to try to do it after I've painted it. Well, actually, no, I might want to wait. No, I'll be okay. Because see how this goes over here and you've got this little bit sticking up right there? That's what's going to go into your tabletop. But it's pretty clearly marked. And as long as I have my wings with all their different curves and things nice and square, it should by nature leave enough room for that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But I want to make sure, since you want their extra wing to be on the outside, that they're facing like this when I do this, so I don't accidentally put them like so, and then they're both facing the same way, if that makes sense. So, okay. And these wings, I don't think it really makes a difference which one you put on the right, which one you put on the left. There we go. All right, a little bit of glue on there. I'm going to put this on here, and I'm going to line it up with everything else. I'm not going to try to line it up with that very top because that's the part we want extra, right? But I want to make sure these are nice and flush with each other. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, same thing. Go along, get any glue. Just make sure it's even. Get these little extra bits. Okay. You do want to kind of hold it for a second, make sure it grabs, and then put your heavy thing on top of it, because you always do kind of run the risk of setting it down and it pushing it just a little bit. All right, so just same with this one. All right, so there we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to let those sit for just a few minutes. I don't think they need a heck of a long time to sit. And then we will put the table together. That way it can dry real good, and then we'll turn our attention to what we're going to do at the top. All right, so we got our tabletop. We have our Gryphons. I'll put these away for now. Sure, I'll use them for something. And then we have our table base. So what we're going to do is our little Gryphons are going to sit like so. Okay, they're going to slot in there really nicely. They've got their extra wing on the outside. This one's going to go in like so. And then the tabletop is going to go here. So you've got the part where his head is and the part where the wing is. They're going to slot together just like so. Very simple. There we go. Ta-da! That's what I love about these kits from Alpha Stamps and Gypsy Soul laser cuts and whatnot. They go together so easy and they look so cute. And then it's just down to your painting skills if you're going to make it look good, which, yeah, with me is dicey on a good day, but that's fine. So let's go ahead and put these guys in here. So what I'm going to do is it's going to, let me hold this up so you can see, hopefully. Okay, so we've got this part here, and it's going to sit in there with that. So I'm going to put it on the outsides of where these tabs are. And these don't really, well, a little bit of them might come down, but I'm just going to go around the outside of it because that's how it's going to interact with this. If I put this on the bottom and sit it in there, it's not going to touch anything. It's not going to glue to anything, right? So put a decent amount. Will it squish out? Yep. But that's okay because I know it's gonna. And then a little dot on each of these edges here. So we want this to be nice and solid because these are the only points of contact that are going to be holding this little desk table together. All right, so let's get him in here like so. Press him down. I'm going to get some of the glue, just the bigger bits, because I really want, in order before this dries, I want it to have the top on as well so that I know it's going to dry square. Make sure everything is in its place. So just little extra bits. Okay, make sure everybody's pressed down in there like they should be. And we'll do this side, and then we'll get the top, and then we're going to put something on top of it to make sure it's got some weight on there, so it's keeping everything where it should be. Now you can paint your stuff before if you want, if it's easier for you. I figured I'd just paint it after, because I'm still deciding what color it's gonna be. So it definitely would have delayed things. Oops. Be careful pushing them down that you don't push that tail. I just did and I felt it give a little bit, so watch out for that. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing right here on this and on the top of that. And here and here. And the glue's already starting to grab, so it's getting a little stiffer in here. So it's really essential that we get this top on here so we can make sure it dries straight. Okay. I'm just gonna sit it here and do one side at a time. Where'd you go? There we are. And then this one here, same thing. Okay, there we go. All right, so this one I'm going to flip over for a minute so I can get the extra glue out of here. When I do this, I'm also kind of trying to push some of it back down into the crack between the two, just so that it can act kind of like as a joint filler kind of compound stuff. And make it a little stronger. Okay, so I'm going to flip it back over and I'll get my 1, 2, 3 blocks. I'll be right back. Okay, so I got these. I'm just going to kind of put these here. I really need something thicker. Oh, what do I have? Nothing really. Oh, here, I'll use this. I don't know if this will work or not, but just something I can sit on here because I really want to keep like this part straight. So I just need to prop these up just a little bit. That's as good as that's going to get. And I just don't want to put this on top and have it sway it from side to side at all. Okay, so there's that. And I'll get my jewelry block and sit that on top. See how it's it's wanting to go side to side. So if I can get these up here like this, these will hold this straight. All right, so while our sculpture over there dries, we'll go ahead and do our chair real quick too. Okay, so I did the same thing with this. So you've got the two sides here. You have the seat. Let's put this like so, just like so. And then you have your seat like so. Just trust me, I swear it fits. There we go. Okay, so it's like this, and then this part will sit in here and be decorative, or you can just leave it and have it like that. It's really up to you what you want to do with it. That's an optional part of it. When you're doing stuff like this too, it's usually easier to, because see, you've got these parts here. You can put that there, but you're kind of asking for it when you're putting this one here to get it lined up straight. So I usually will do the sides of it like this first, and then put the back straight on top. It's just a personal preference, I guess. So let's do that. So we're gonna do the same thing with this. So our chair back, we have this big notch, but then we have this little one. This little one is the one that fits with this piece here. With these things, always dry fit them too, just to make sure you're in the right place and doing the right thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in here like so, with both of these facing to the back. I'm going to put this on the side here because that's what's actually going to contact the other piece. And then I'm going to put it on this part here because it's going to contact this flat surface here. So this will have a little bit more room to glue than that one did. Okay, so we got this here. Get my toothpick out, get my extra glue, of which there was a bunch that squished out, and that's out. Yeah, there's a bunch on this side too. Okay, so there's that one. And if you want, like this one, we can just let that sit for a second. Otherwise, I'm going to put this side on, and I'll put the rest of the chair together, and it'll just be done already. All right, there we go. A little bit there, and a little bit here. Do the same thing. Make sure this part here is going to the back. Let's set this down, grab this, and flip it over. So that way I can get all the extra glue from this side. Okay, now I'm going to flip it like so. And again, once we put this back part on, that's going to stabilize these into their correct angles as well. So I usually will take this stuff and kind of dry fit it and go, okay, where is the glue going to touch? So on this one, I'm going to put it on these insides of this tab here, and this one, and this one. And it's going to contact the flat surfaces at the top here and in these corners. Okay, and then I'm just going to sit this in here, squeeze it together gently, wipe any extra glue off there, and then use the toothpick for the insides. And then just like that one, we are going to just sit this on its back. Actually, I do want to use this part, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in now. So it looks like it's going to contact on this back side up to around here. So this, I'll just put a little bit of glue on the back. And then of course, once we get it on there, we'll flip it over, and then anything that wasn't supposed to be on, we'll wipe it off. This way I can make sure it's really well stuck down. And then these edges here, so this little small one, this edge, this edge, this edge, and this small one are also going to contact the chair. So I'll go ahead and put those in there like so. Slide it in, press it down. And I'll do the same and get the glue out of here. All right, so I'm gonna let these dry. I will get some stuff ready for us to deal with wood and all that here in just a second. I'll see you guys back. Well, here we go again. So it looks like I've taken a very simple project and turned it into an epic mini-series. At least this one's only going to be 4 episodes, so not terribly bad. And we are doing 2 things and kind of a bonus thing, so it's not bad. Anyways, on the next part of this particular build, we will be doing the prep work for these pieces. And yes, it's an entire episode of prep work. Why? Because prep work takes a really long time if you want it to come out nice. So this goes over all the different things to do. So anywho's, I will see you guys in the next one. Okay, may the mischief be on safe. Bye.